I don't trust you. I don't think that this is necessarily a funding problem as much as a leadership problem. I give very little credence in your ability to do this job. We don't only pay you to warn us of a threat, we also pay you to prevent and protect us from the threats or budget requests you bring to us as a result of that is, in my opinion, suspect. Your bosses are the American people, right? The open border should be the biggest challenge that your administration is recognizing right now, and unfortunately is not. And I think your biggest problem personally is that it's not just me that doesn't trust you, it's the American people that don't trust you right now.
Let me know in the comments, do you trust the FBI to keep our nation safe? Now, this came out yesterday, April the 11th, during a committee hearing with the FBI Director Wray as he was asking for more funding. Take a look.
We need resources. We need funding to protect America. We also need funding to counter the threat from the People's Republic of China. We need funding to counter cyber threats. We need funding to mitigate the range of threats from the border. We need funding to address the violent crime. The 2025 budget is a chance to get back on track, to provide the FBI's men and women the tools and the resources the American people need us to have to keep them safe.
Now, that was his opening statement. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you the entire exchange between him and Mike Garcia. Let's take a look at the headlines. Mike Garcia slams FBI director as being ineffective at his job and saying, I don't trust you, saying that you're coming here asking for more funds, giving these warnings, talking about red light alerts, yet you do nothing to protect the American people, and you've done nothing to change the Biden administration on their border policies, which he says is the #1 threat to America at this time. Let me know if you agree in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts. And like I said, this is about 5 minutes. I'm going to share with you the entire clip of the exchange so you can see it for yourself. Now, in addition to that, if you do not believe that the FBI is going to be able to fully protect us from potential threats, I've got a sponsor in today's video that is going to be able to help you, and they've got a special discount right now as well. But more on that later on in the video. Let's go ahead and get you to the latest video footage so you can see exactly what unfolded with these warnings coming out from the FBI, requests for funding, and Mike Garcia letting FBI Director Wray know that he does not support him and believe that he is doing a good job at this time. So let's get to it. But before we do me a quick favor. If you appreciate the updates, don't forget to take a quick second, hit that like button for me. Helps out the channel a ton. Thank you so much. Also, hit the subscribe button to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? And with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look. But first, a word from today's video sponsor, Incogni. I used to get phone calls all day long from random robocalls and spam emails, and I had no idea why. Well, Incogni helped me to understand that my online data was actually being sold to various companies from online data brokers. When I would sign up for certain things, my name, my birthday, my address, my phone number, email, all of my data was being sold online, and I had no idea why. Incogni actually did a data search for me and discovered over 100 different companies that had my data that was being sold online. Now, these companies are required by law to stop selling your data if you request it. However, there's literally hundreds of companies that could be doing this, and that is where Incogni comes in. They have a painless process of entering your information, and then they do the rest. They quickly scan all the companies on the web selling your data to see where you are listed and requesting to have you removed on your behalf. You literally don't have to do anything except for sit back and watch the real-time updates of your data being removed offline. And since signing up, I've had no calls from my friend Spam Likely. So use my link in the description below. Use coupon code SteveRam. Get 60% off of Incogni. So try them out. And again, thanks to today's video sponsor, Incogni.
Mr. Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Director Wray. I'll be honest with you, and this pains me to say this, but I don't trust you. I don't think that this is necessarily a funding problem that we have for your agency as much as a leadership problem. And between the lack of transparency in hearings like this and in intel hearings, your weaponization and politicization of issues and instruments of national security against innocent Americans and against institutions like churches, and the fact that you have held no one truly accountable for prior FISA abuses that we have all seen and recognized. I think you yourself have acknowledged that there's been abuses, and because of the fact that as the FBI director that you've stood relatively silent and passive about the biggest national security threat to our nation, that being our very open southern border, as the chairman has been discussing. I give very little credence in either your ability to do this job or, frankly, lead the brave agents below you, and I don't trust you to protect us, and that is a very difficult thing for me to say. It pains me to say that because your job is critically important to the safety of this nation and American lives, and I think because of your inability to lead and also shape the policies in the DOJ and at the White House, we are now in a more precarious position than we were, I would submit, than we were on September 10th of 2001. You yourself say in your written testimony that over the past year, the threats facing our nation have escalated. The breadth of these threats and challenges are as complex as any time in our history, and the consequences of not responding and countering these threats have never been greater. These are your words. And we don't only pay you to warn us of a threat, which you have eloquently done here, although that's important and appreciated that you're warning us, but we also pay you to prevent and protect us from the threats. And you're in an agency, and I'm on committees where I'm your authorizer on the Intel Committee, and I'm your appropriator here on the CJS Subcommittee on Appropriations, and I find it difficult to trust you to protect us, and any data or budget requests you bring to us as a result of that is, in my opinion, suspect. And in your nearly 20 pages of written testimony, you've mentioned the southern border only approximately 4 times, and even then you kind of gloss over it. And we now have 7 million people in our country, 350 people on the FBI terror watch list who have been apprehended, plus another 1.7 million known gotaways here within our borders as a result of your leadership's border policies. And I say your leadership and not your bosses, because your bosses are the American people, right? Your customers are the American people. You work for them. You work for the people to protect them. So your leadership, the President of the United States, AG Garland, and Director of Homeland Security Mayorkas are literally intentionally putting the people that you work for, the average American citizen, into a clear and present danger situation that you yourself have acknowledged in your written testimony. So you've testified before the Intel Committee with the Worldwide Threats briefs and other committees that there are giant red warning lights and warning signs and lots of flashing signs from a threat and terrorism assessment perspective. You know, and it's evident that you know and agree with this notion and that we should all be concerned. Yet, despite this, you have been unable to change the policies driven by your leadership, by the President, the AG, DHS Mayorkas. And so it's difficult, but it's in addition to being untrustworthy, you are also ineffective at a very important part of your job, which is shaping the policies that do affect national security. And that should be, the open border should be the biggest challenge that your administration is recognizing right now, and unfortunately is not. And I think your biggest problem personally is that it's not just me that doesn't trust you, it's the American people that don't trust you right now as a result of that. Can I just get a simple yes or no response to this question? Does the open border policy make your job easier or harder? Are we safer or less safe as a result of the open border policy?
I have been consistent over the years, frankly, in citing my concerns about the threats that emanate from the border.
Okay.
And as to the long narrative that you went through at the beginning, needless to say, I disagree very strongly with any number of aspects of it, but I recognize that we're time limited.
I want you to acknowledge that the open border policy makes us more insecure and strong. So I want to know, what have your discussions been with the President? Have you been able to go into his office and say, boss, this open border policy is a galactically stupid policy from a national security perspective? Have you had that conversation? If so, what did that look like? What has been the response? And how are we shaping this to make us more secure in the future?
Well, I'm not going to get into specific conversations with people. I've been consistent in my message externally and internally about my concerns about the threats that are from the FBI's perspective that emanate from the border.
There you have it, and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you trust the FBI and believe that they are doing their best to protect the American people and that they need more funding to do so? Or do you think no, that this is maybe a money grab and that they need to do their job and that they should not be given more funding at this time because you agree with Mike Garcia that they're not doing their job right now? Let me know your thoughts. Now, this comes as literally just 24 hours prior to this. We had heard warnings coming out of potential attacks coming to U.S. soil, and these warnings coming out yet again. Now, to see the latest video footage on this, be sure to check out this video right here next, as I covered it in detail for you. Warnings coming out across news media outlets of potential attacks. But like I said, as more comes out, I'll be sure to keep you up to date on the latest here on the channel. But thank you guys so much for joining me. I'll catch you in the next one. And again, thanks to today's video sponsor. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.